Hello there friends, CS News Live here. In today's video, Valve is planning to cancel RMRs, Drillas might face a ban, and it's real, AI is taking over Counter-Strike, plus plenty of other exciting news from the world of CS2, so without further ado, let's get straight to it. And I think we shall kick off today's video with David Beckham, the legendary football player, but how is he connected to Counter-Strike? Well, it's simple if you didn't know. He owns Guild Esports, which included former Bad News Eagles players in their 2022-2024 CS2 roster. Well, he actually used to own, because just a few days ago David Beckham sold Guild Esports to DCB Sports. Just so you know, this organization cost around £100,000, which is around $130,000. Besides the CS2 lineup, Guild Esports also had teams in Valorant, PUBG, Sim Racing, Street Fighter and Tekken. And yeah, basically guys, I think that if you don't really know esports, you better not invest in it. At least this particular situation shows. But now guys, let's talk about real esports. So we did some digging to find out which academy teams have produced the most graduates currently playing in the top 100 teams worldwide. Leading the pack is obviously Mouse with 11 graduates. As you probably know, Mouse has been building its main roster with talents from their academy teams, and this strategy honestly is paying off, as they consistently hold a spot in the top 5 of the HLTV, only sometimes dropping below. And next up is Spirit Academy, which has promoted players like Zontex and Donk to their main roster. In the third place, it's Ninjas in Pyjamas Academy. While their academy team has shown promise, the inconsistent performance of their main roster makes these results a bit debatable. Furia comes in fourth with 5 academy graduates now playing for solid Brazilian teams like Cauez in Pain Gaming. Rounding out the top 5 is Navi, one of the first to invest heavily in their CS academy. They've produced stars like Monacy, Fear, Hattrick and others. Even Flamey had a stint in their academy as a stand-in. For more details, check out our Twitter, where we've got the full breakdown of all the teams. Don't forget to follow us for exclusive content also. And also hit the like button here and follow this YouTube channel. Speaking of academies, Eternal Fire once had one too, but after a scandal involving 2 banned players, the Turkish Dream Team decided to shut down their youth roster. In addition to this, the org made some structural changes by moving their headquarters from Turkey to Hungary. This move was driven by financial challenges, as sponsors have been hesitant due to the T-word label in CS2. Like, you know, the guys we call the T side, the full word, because basically I can't say it on YouTube either. So yeah, the investors pushed more towards Valorant instead. Fortunately, the current lineup remains unaffected by the situation, as we hope that Eternal Fire can secure major sponsors soon to avoid the fate of teams like Bleed or 3D Max. So yeah guys, good luck. Since we mentioned Valorant, we just have to share this interesting story about yet another ban in Riot's game. Recently, Chat, the former coach of Energy, was banned for showing an old training clip on his stream using the VOD system. According to Riot, sharing VOD clips is a violation of confidentiality, as you can hear players, coaches and even judges communicate there. As a result, Chat received a 6 months ban. But here's the real issue, this happened because Riot doesn't provide a way to watch replays in their game, so it's basically on them. Or maybe the whole situation with saying GGWP after games? Yeah bros, imagine. Speaking of bans, recently the entire Steam community was shaking by a major ban. The person with the highest Steam level ever received a community ban. His inventory is estimated to be worth over $200,000. And due to this ban, he can no longer trade or transfer his skins, and his profile is locked from leveling up further. This dude, Stasek, has 6,000 levels on Steam. People say that he spent around $1 million to get this high. Anyways, fortunately, somehow Stasek was able to get in contact with Valve and he was eventually unbanned. Because apparently when you spend that much, you get into a closed club. Now, my friends, let's move to one of the most tricky topics of the recent 1000 days. So as you know, the RMRs are approaching, and Valve's sanctions might also be looming over the Drillas, the team of the well-known streamer and content creator Ohnepixel. So the Drillas recently made a roster change, bringing in Cautionary to replace S1MPLE'S, and technically the team should now switch regions because they have more players from Europe than from Asia. However, Perfect World and Valve haven't addressed the situation yet and even allowed this substitution. A lot of people in the community reacted to this and they did it negatively. For example, Loba, who as usual had plenty to say about it, but whatever. Many players from tier 2 teams from Asian and European RMRs already spoken up on Twitter, and there's obviously a clear reason, but Valve doesn't really seem to be concerned. But for example, Waro2K spilled some insights about this. He said that before making the substitution, the Drillas had negotiations with Perfect World and they approved the change. My friends, what do you think about this whole situation? Should the Drillas be removed from Asia to Europe or what? Or should they be excluded at all? Maybe Ohnepixel should play himself? Write your thoughts in the comments below. Speaking of roster changes, we just have to talk about the legendary Guardian. Recently he's been coaching for BC Game, as you might know. But the other day he stepped in as a stand-in and delivered an absolutely insane performance. This basically led to team's management to rethink things, and they decided to sign Guardian as a player once again. Just when he started to enjoy his time as a coach, he'd been pulled back into playing. Can you imagine? It'll be interesting to see how long the legendary sniper will stay in the lineup, and if his return will affect the team's results. And we also got to mention a funny situation that recently happened on Chinese version of Faceit, since CS2 is slightly modified there, at least to some bizarre bugs. For example, this, which looks even crazier than Michael Jackson's pick. So to replicate this sliding bug, you need to drop your knife, keep only your pistol, fire a shot, drop the pistol, and then you'll be able to slide around. Honestly, it looks pretty hilarious. And you know what the funniest part? Most players are demanding that Valve will fix this bug ASAP, or at least remove the ability to drop knives. The community is especially concerned that it doesn't show up during RMR tournaments. But honestly, I have no idea how it can affect professional matches, because like you have to complete a full set of actions, and it gives you no profit at all, so I really doubt that Valve will fix it. Speaking of dropping knives, imagine you won one in a giveaway, but you can't really get it, and eventually you don't. And this is basically what happened to a Faceit user, but I will explain this situation. To be more specific, it was quite an unfortunate scenario as described by the user themselves. If you follow ESL broadcasts, you'll know that they frequently give away knives or other skins, and recently they were offering a skeleton knife fade. However, according to the rules, the winner has only 4 hours to claim the item, and the user found out about their win just 15 minutes before the deadline, which obviously wasn't enough to claim the prize. Basically, Faceit's notification system only informed them at the last moment, which is not cool. The user mentioned that the proceeds from selling this skin could have been enough to cover several months of rent. It's honestly really unfortunate, and as a tip to you all, make sure to keep an eye on your notifications so you don't end up in similar situations. For example, you can hit the notification bell on our channel not to miss the new videos. And now, my friends, let's dive into one of the most exciting pieces of news. According to HLTV, we won't be seeing RMR tournaments anymore, starting from 2025. Like, at all. And also they say that there will be more teams at majors. So here we go. HLTV reports that the major will now feature 32 teams. The event will last longer, and there will be an additional tournament stage. Teams will qualify based solely on their Valve ranking. The first tournament to implement this new system is expected to be the Blast Austin Major 2025. And yeah, the event will run longer, about 18 days. Honestly guys, I have no idea what to think about this, because on one hand we get more exciting CS, and on the other we don't get exciting underdogs who will get to majors through RMRs. You can spill your thoughts in the comments below. Also, recently HLTV announced that the upcoming 3.0 ranking will incorporate AI to calculate certain metrics, such as timings, grenade usage, and more. However, it's important to note that this ranking won't be released anytime soon, as the technology is quite complex and requires extensive fine-tuning. In case you missed it, just recently HLTV introduced Ranking 2.1, which addressed some key elements of CS2 that the previous 2.0 ranking didn't cover. Whether this AI integration is just a joke or something we can actually expect remains to be seen, but it's definitely intriguing to think about it. And more about CS and AI, we've got some fascinating story from YouTube. So this guy called basically Homeless built a robot who can play CS, and with time it might even match the skill of pro players. The project took him around 3 years, starting as just a joke, but he eventually committed to completing it. And no guys, we're not talking about your typical in-game bots. This is a fully functional mechanical arm that plays the game. It's honestly an impressive and promising concept. Imagine a 1v1 tournament where this robot goes head-to-head with the world's best players. I think Blast, with all their love to show matches, should seriously consider this idea for a future event. And yeah guys, speaking of future, we can't skip one important event that will happen in like just a couple of days. S1MPLE is about to play his first match since returning to CS, as Falcons will be facing off against 3D Max at Thunderpeck World Championship. My friends, mark the date, 21st of October 2024. Honestly guys, I am so hyped. I mean, if S1MPLE delivers his best performance and the rest of the team at least avoid to make major mistakes, this should be an easy win for Falcons and quite an exciting match. I mean, sure, 3D Max is a solid team, but when S1MPLE is on the server, even the most confident players will start feel the pressure. And that's despite the fact that it's been a while since Alexander last competed. Should be an exciting match. Speaking of Navi's former players, if you recall, VP bought Electronic for around $1 million, but in a recent podcast, the CEO of Virtus.Pro revealed more details about the transfer. So according to the CEO, VP were ready to buy Electronic out as early as in 2022, but Navi refused because they wanted to sell Electronic only together with Perfecto, and VP didn't want that, so they just decided to wait for a little bit. And retrospectively, I don't really think that this was a good decision, because recently Electronic wasn't performing at his best and the team is like falling apart. I mean, they're doing okay-ish, but not as good as they could, or at least not as good as their CEO wants them to be. Anyways, I highly doubt that they will kick Electronic because he cost them a lot. But still, it feels like endless roster changes and poor results will continue to haunt VP until they decide to change leadership, which seems to be out of touch with modern CS. And yeah, my friends, since the Tier 1 scene is on pause, let's dive into some action on Tier 2. And I think we shall start with Elisa Masters Espo. We've got some interesting developments here. In Group A, the Mongols are leading the pack, having won both of their matches. Meanwhile, Ninjas in Pyjamas have been already eliminated, finishing last without a single win. Poor bastards. In Group B, Heroic is on top, followed by 9Z and N. Unfortunately, Rebels have been knocked out of the tournament. The second Tier 2 tournament is the RES Regional Championships in Belgrade. Here in Group A, Sangal is completely dominating, with Fluxo and Nimiga trailing behind. Aurora finishing last is out, and a roster shakeup since Inevitable.'s Deco is reportedly considering retiring from play after the major. I mean, after the RMRs. In Group B, Fnatic is in the first place, followed by Unpaid, the former Bleed lineup. At the bottom of the group we've got Destiny, the Brazilian team, and they've already been eliminated. But guys, don't worry about the lack of Tier 1 tournaments, it's just a temporary lull, as soon things will be back in full swing. In the meantime, ESL has announced its tournament schedule for next year, and most of the events are staying the same as this year, with the exception of IEM Rio, which we covered in our last video. But here I have to highlight some interesting changes. As before, all finals will be played in best of 5. But now, no more best of 1s for opening matches. This is honestly some great news, as it reduces randomness and makes the game more balanced. Another major change affects EPL. The tournament will feature fewer teams, dropping from 32 to 24, and will now use the Swiss system. Lastly, IEM Dallas will see an increase in teams qualifying through regional events, giving more opportunities to lesser-known teams to shine on the big stage. So exciting times ahead bad for CS fans. And that's all for today, my friends. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and follow the channel, as well as to comment with whatever you like below. I'm not saying goodbye for a long time. See you soon.